Sunday dinner at my house had always been a tradition. But tonight felt different. Mom kept glancing around my renovated kitchen with an expression I couldn't quite read. Dad was quieter than usual, nodding along to whatever Mom said. "Emily, your father and I have been talking," Mom began, setting down her fork with deliberate precision. "We've decided it's time we all lived together again. Like a proper family." I looked up from my plate. "What do you mean?" "We're moving in," she said simply, as if announcing the weather. "This house is family property after all. Your grandmother left it to the family and it's big enough for all of us. Your father is retiring next month and it makes sense financially." My brother Kyle, who'd been scrolling through his phone, finally looked up. "That's actually perfect timing. Rachel and I were talking about how we need more space with the twins. Maybe we could take the upstairs." "Excellent idea," Mom beamed. "Emily can take the small bedroom. She doesn't need much space anyway, she's always working on that computer thing." That computer thing. My software development company that had generated over $2 million in revenue last year. But to them I was still just playing with computers in the spare room. "This house isn't family property," I said carefully, keeping my voice level. Mom waved her hand dismissively. "Your grandmother left it to the family when she passed. We all have equal claim to it. Don't be selfish, Emily. Family takes care of family." "Grandma died 8 years ago," I continued. "The house was in foreclosure 2 years later. Do you remember that?" Dad shifted uncomfortably. "We went through a rough patch financially." "You were going to lose it," I said. "The bank was going to take it. I bought it at auction." The table went silent. "You what?" Mom's fork clattered against her plate. "I purchased this house from the bank 6 years ago. I own it. Outright. There's no mortgage, no family claim. Just my name on the deed." Kyle laughed uncertainly. "Come on, You didn't have that kind of money 6 years ago. You were what, 25? 26, I corrected. And my company had just secured its first major contract. I had the money. I bought the house. I've been paying all the property taxes, all the maintenance, all the renovations. This is my house." Mom's face had gone rigid. "That's impossible. Your father and I have been living here. In the guest cottage out back. Rent-free. Because I let you." I pulled out my phone and opened a folder I'd been dreading to use. "I have all the documentation. Purchase agreement, deed transfer, tax records. Everything." "This is ridiculous," Mom snapped. "Even if that's technically true, this house was your grandmother's. It should belong to the family. You can't just." "I can, and I did. And I've been more than generous letting you live in the cottage without paying rent for 6 years." "Generous?" Mom's voice rose. "We're your parents. We raised you. This house should be ours." "You lost it," I said quietly. "And I saved it. But instead of being grateful, you're trying to take it from me again." Kyle leaned back, his expression shifting from confusion to calculation. "Look, even if you bought it, we're family. You can't just kick Mom and Dad out. Where would they go?" "I'm not kicking anyone out. But I'm also not letting you move in and take over my home." "Our home," Mom corrected sharply. "This will always be the family home, no matter whose name is on some piece of paper. We're moving in next month and that's final." The certainty in her voice sent a chill through me. This wasn't a request or even a demand. It was a declaration. They'd already decided. In their minds, they'd already moved in, reorganized my space, relegated me to the smallest room in my own house. After they left, Mom still listing all the changes she'd make to our home, I sat alone in my kitchen and made a call I'd been avoiding for weeks. "Marcus? It's Emily Chin. I need to move forward with those documents we discussed. My attorney, Marcus Rodriguez, had been warning me this was coming. Your parents pushed too far? They're planning to move in next month. They think they have a right to my house because my grandmother used to own it. Even though you legally purchased it after foreclosure? They don't care about legalities. They care about what they want." I took a deep breath. I need to protect my property. What are my options? Given that they're living in your guest cottage without a lease, you have the right to issue an eviction notice. 30 days. If they don't vacate, we proceed with formal eviction through the courts. The word felt harsh. Eviction. My own parents. There's something else, I added. You remember that property in Riverside? The condo my parents supposedly own. The one they've been renting out for income? They don't own it. I do. I'd been sitting on this truth for 3 years waiting. I bought it when they defaulted on their mortgage. They think they're collecting rent from tenants and paying a property management company. They're actually paying me back in installments. Marcus was quiet for a moment. You've been their landlord for 3 years and they don't know? I kept it quiet. I thought if they knew I had money they'd just ask for more. Turns out I was right. Emily, if they're not paying rent on the cottage and they're claiming ownership of your primary residence, you have grounds for immediate eviction from both properties. Both properties. The cottage and the riverside condo they thought was their retirement nest egg. Do it, I said. Both eviction notices. Deliver them tomorrow. Monday morning at 9 a.m., a process server arrived at my property. I watched from my kitchen window as he walked to the guest cottage and knocked. Mom answered in her bathrobe, annoyed at the early interruption. I couldn't hear the conversation, but I saw her face change as she read the document. Confusion first, then shock, then rage. She stormed across the lawn to my back door, papers clutched in her fist. What the hell is this? It's an eviction notice. You have 30 days to vacate the guest cottage. You can't evict your own parents. I can evict tenants who don't pay rent and who are trying to claim ownership of my property. Dad appeared behind her, looking smaller somehow. Emily, let's talk about this reasonably. I tried reasonable at dinner last night. You told me you were moving into my house whether I agreed or not. You called my property family property, and tried to give my bedroom to Kyle. We were just planning. You were taking over. And you've done it my entire life. I stood my ground. I've let you live rent-free in that cottage for 6 years. I've paid for repairs, utilities, property taxes. And instead of gratitude you demand more. Mom's face was scarlet. Fine. We'll move to the riverside condo. We own that free and clear. We don't need your charity. I pulled out another document and handed it to her. About that. She read it and I watched the color drain from her face. Sullivan Property Management, current owner Emily Chin. You own the riverside condo too. Bought it 3 years ago when you defaulted. You've been paying me rent this whole time, thinking it was a property management company. Dad actually stumbled, catching himself on the doorframe. That's not possible. We have tenants there. We collect rent. You collect rent from tenants in my property, and you pay me a management fee and mortgage payment. Except there is no mortgage. Just you paying me back for a property you lost. You lied to us. Mom shrieked. I protected my investment, and I gave you a chance to keep living there affordably. But you haven't paid in 4 months. You're $8,000 behind. We were going to pay. We had expenses. You had expenses because you assumed you'd move in here rent-free and stop paying for the riverside property altogether. I crossed my arms. I know your plan, Mom. Cal told me last month. You were going to gift the riverside condo to him and Rachel as a wedding present. The silence confirmed it. You were going to give my property to my brother, I said quietly. Property I own. Property I bought. And you never once thought to ask me. He's family. Mom insisted. That's what family does. Family doesn't steal from each other. Family doesn't lie about ownership. Family doesn't treat one child like an ATM while giving everything to the golden child. Kyle had arrived during the argument, probably called by Mom. This is insane. You can't actually evict them. They're our parents. Watch me. I turned to Marcus, who'd arrived with additional documents. They have 30 days to vacate the cottage. What about the riverside property? Same timeline. 30 days, or we proceed with formal eviction proceedings. You're putting us on the street. Mom's voice cracked. Your own parents homeless. You're not homeless. You have 30 days to find a place and money saved from not paying rent here. You also have the option I'm about to offer. Marcus handed me another folder. Your parents can stay in the cottage under a formal lease agreement. Market rate rent, first and last month's deposit, no exceptions. Miss one payment and eviction proceeds immediately. Market rate. Dad looked at the figure on the paper and went pale. That's $2,400 a month. That's what a 2-bedroom cottage with utilities included costs in this area. I've been letting you live here for free. That ends now. And the riverside condo? Mom asked, her voice brittle. Being sold. You're too far behind on payments and I need the capital for my business expansion. That's our retirement fund. It's my property. And you lost it when you stopped paying for it. I softened slightly, seeing Dad's defeated expression. The proceeds from the sale will clear your debt to me. Anything remaining I'll give you. But the property is sold. Kyle stepped forward, angry now. This is what you've become? You make some money and suddenly you're better than us? You'd really throw Mom and Dad out. I became successful by working hard while you partied through college on Mom and Dad's dime, money they borrowed and never paid back. I became independent while you've been asking for handouts for 10 years. And yes, I'll enforce my legal rights when my own family tries to steal from me. We're not stealing. You tried to move into my house without permission. You tried to give away my property. You've been living rent-free while claiming you had rights to my assets. I looked at each of them. That's theft. Attempted theft at minimum. Mom's face crumpled. I raised you. I gave you everything. You gave me food and shelter, which is the legal minimum for a parent. I gave myself everything else. Education, career, this house. I did that. Not you. The 30 days crawled by. Mom and Dad signed the lease agreement after realizing they had no other affordable options. Their first rent check arrived on the 1st of the month, written in Dad's shaky handwriting. Kyle stopped speaking to me entirely. He and Rachel found their own apartment. Smaller than they wanted, no twins' nursery prepared. Just reality. The Riverside condo sold quickly. After clearing their $8,000 debt, I gave my parents the remaining $23,000. Mom took the check without a word, but Dad whispered thank you, so quietly I almost missed it. 3 months later, rent continued arriving on time. The cottage was quiet. No more Sunday dinners, no more family gatherings. Just 2 tenants living in my guest cottage paying their way. Some would call it sad. The destruction of a family over property and money. But I called it clarity. The removal of entitlement and the establishment of boundaries. They could stay but on my terms. In my house, on my land, following my rules. I stood in my kitchen, the same kitchen where Mom had announced she was taking over, and looked at my mortgage-free deed, my business contracts, my growing investment portfolio. Everything I'd built. Everything I'd protected. Not family property. Not community assets. Not resources for Kyle's benefit. And if they wanted to be part of my life, they'd start by respecting that. No exceptions.